Hi guys, it's the Theluchamediageek here again for the Burns redo. My choice of movie, and we're doing a film which would be in my top 20 of all time, to be honest. I love this movie. We're doing the Coen Brothers Miller's Crossing. An underrated little gem, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people tend to shout out the so-called Coen's classics, like The Big Lebowski, and of course they're very much in vogue at the moment with No Country for Old Men and True Grit. They're kind of like the independent little band that have hit chart prominence, I always find. But this, for me, is, I'd still say, their finest film, and I include The Big Lebowski in that. Miller's Crossing was released in 1990. One thing about the Coen Brothers is, of course, anyone who watched the movies know they have their own very distinctive narrative style and way of presenting characters. It's very kooky, it's very offbeat. For some people it can be quite off-putting. I've quite enjoyed it. I've never actually found it that indulgent. But like I say, one of the things they do is they switch genres, even though they have their own distinctive style. And this is their stab at, I'd say, a 1930s gangster flick. They make no bones about the fact that they enjoy this era. And they did another film set at a similar time, The Man Who Wasn't There, starring Billy Bob Thornton, which is again very stylish and based on the stories of, well, not based on, but based on the style of the stories of Dashiell Hammett, Raymond Chandler, people like that. The plot is basically, it's around the 1930s era. We're never told specifically on that. I'm assuming it's Prohibition, and it centres around Irish gangsters. You have the crime boss Leo, played brilliantly by Albert Finney, and his right hand man Tom. We never actually find out his last name. His right hand man, who's the protagonist of the movie, who is played brilliantly by Gabriel Byrne. Unfortunately, Tom is sleeping with his boss's mistress, and that will cause problems later in the narrative. I don't want to give away too much of the plot, because the plot, with this being based loosely around the 1930s, not detective story, but I'd call it a gangster mystery, then I don't want to give too much away. I love this film in that the performances are good, it's funny, and these are Irish gangsters, and that is something which you don't often see on film. A little bit now, because, you know, Boston's become the city of record for American movie making at the moment. But one of the things this film does in mentioning, talking about Irish gangsters, it is, for want of a better term, very Irish. It has that whole kind of sweeping Irish romantic epic feel, almost like it's, you know, a detective story written by James Joyce kind of thing, because the plot does become quite convoluted, and it deals with very deep themes. The notion of honour, to what extent you're there going to stick up for your friends, to what extent do you have self-worth, and self-value. They're all there, but it's still injected with this feeling of the Coens being, again, offbeat. There are two things in this film that really will make it amazing to look at. Worth watching. Basically, when I saw this film, I saw it when it first hit cable. So it was released in 90, it hit cable about 92, and I was about 13 at the time. And one of the things that blew me away was the way this movie was shot. It was shot by Barry Sonnenfeld, who would of course go on to direct Men in Black and the Addams Family's movies. And basically, every shot in this movie is like a painting by Hopper. It's every painting is like, every shot is like an Art Deco painting. It's generally beautiful to look at, and it looks handsome, and every shot kind of takes you away, and it has fluid character movement. And also, the Coen Brothers writing really nails that kind of whole snap 1930s rat-a-tat repartee between two characters. It really does have that. For example, at the beginning of the movie, it basically features, it centres on two guys talking, Leo and Tom, and they're discussing their situation, and it is literally two guys in an office talking for a good 5 minutes. Now you think that's boring, but because it's so beautifully shot and so brilliantly written, you understand where both guys are coming from, the nature of the relationship, and therefore you care when that relationship changes over the course of the movie. There are some standout sequences. There's a Tommy gun shootout sequence to the strains of Danny Boy, which is just gorgeous, with Albert Finney in his slippers, and those things are just awesome. This film is genuinely moving. Another reason why is the fantastic score by a guy called Carter Burwell. He does, or Burwell, I'm not sure on that, but he does the score for a lot of Coen Brothers movies, and this is one where the score, I think it's because I really do engage with the Irish romanticism of it, or I can just listen to the score in this movie. It's really good. It's not, the plot is linear, but it's non-conventional. So it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I do recommend this movie. I haven't gone too much into the plot because I want people to go into it cold. I give this film a 9 out of 10. I really engage with this movie for reasons that I can't entirely articulate, which is one of the reasons why I think it's wonderful. Check this movie out. I hope the other reviewers on the channel enjoy it as much as I do. See ya.